Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Now, for those of you who don't know, the FBG duck trial has begun, man. They're starting to pull out all the witnesses and things like that. And a bombshell was recently dropped when it comes to reporting in this hip hop blog space, man. There's a blogger by the name of Trenches News who's actually an informant. I mean, who's been outed as a government informant and part of this whole FBG duck RICO case, man. This is one of the wildest stories you're going to hear this year, and I couldn't wait. I had to wait a couple of days before I talked about it because I wanted to read everything on this, and I think I've read just about everything. But the best story comes from the Chicago Sun-Times, where they detail how long, and it's been about a decade or so, that Martell Wiley, a.k.a. Trenches News, has been an informant for the FBI, and he's actually collected almost $25,000 in compensation. This goes back to that old Boondock skit where they say there's one everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you do, at any function, at any party, at any club, there's always an informant, and I guess even in the blogging space on social media. This is crazy. This is one of the wildest things I've read all year and highly entertaining. But before we go through this news story and get to the details, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Okay, so let's look at the actual story. So this is the headline for this big news story involving a YouTuber by the name of Trenches News. Now, I can always say, man, Trenches News, I've always had a weird feeling about dude. And I know this feels like some Monday morning quarterbacking, but I don't know, man. It just the way that he told stories, and it just always seemed like things always worked out in his benefit. Those could have been some indicators that, something was up with this dude from the get-go. But, man, let's look at this headline. So it says, star witness in FBG Duck murder trial is a mass rap blogger and longtime government informant. Now, it goes on to say that Martell Wiley, who runs the popular Trenches News YouTube channel, was paid nearly $25,000 to cooperate with the government, an FBI agent testified on Monday. Now, for those of you who are kind of lost on what's going on here. Basically, Trenches News, he admitted while he was on No Jumper, in his No Jumper interview, that he was going to be testifying in some trials or something like that. But nobody knew it was to this magnitude. That dude had been working hand in hand with the FBI for so long, man. You don't know how many people he's probably thrown under the bus. This is crazy, man. And I'm always skeptical about everybody. I don't believe anybody, that's why when I handle business a certain sort of way, because some things just don't seem to connect for me with certain people. And with Trenches News, it was always like that. Even though dude isn't entertaining, he's doing his thing on YouTube. He's got an amazing book out there from what I hear. Man, dude is doing his thing. I'm not dissing him, and I ain't in the streets, so I don't have a dog in the fight. It's just wild to find out that somebody who's actually reporting on Chicago street business and street news is actually an informant, like a real deal informant, like been working with the FBI all this time, man. That's gotta feel weird. I don't know if he was out there interviewing people or who he was talking to, but I mean, he basically had a breakdown of a lot of the big things that were going on out there in the Chicago drill scene, man. So maybe this is a lesson, man. Maybe this is just some sort of lesson. But man, let's continue, man. Let's look at the rest of this story. Okay, so the news story starts off like this. It says, blogger focused on the lurid underbelly of Chicago's drill rap culture has been paid nearly $25,000 to cooperate with federal authorities investigating the killing of rapper FBG Duck, an FBI agent told jurors Monday. So what's going on here is the FBI agent was on the stand testifying in the case. Remember, this is a federal case, so the FBI, federal agents were involved in bringing the people that they feel are guilty of this crime to justice. Now those guys are on trial, and as the trial is starting to unfold, so many different things are starting to unfold in this case to where you're like, whoa, this is mind-blowing, man. Like, if there were any indicators that, being a street dude is over, bruh, it's here for you to see, man. Like, this ain't the 90s, man. This ain't the 80s. This ain't even the early 2000s. With the technology that they're coming out with and talking about how they tracing the cars with cameras, they went straight to find the car that the one guy had used. It's just so much. The cell phone messages from one party to the next. bruh, like there's too much technology out there for you to be getting away with brazen murder in the middle of a downtown area, or I should say a high class area like that. Because remember, this was done in a place called the Gold Coast, and members of the local community, millionaires and billionaires, they put up their own money. So that's what triggered me to think that, yo, that's when the feds said, yo, we about to get involved because we gotta prove a lesson. Like, you are not gonna come to a rich community, the Midwest version of Beverly Hills, and commit a crime like this and think it's gonna slide, bro. It's just not. It's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? So that's why they using every resource possible. And it looks like this blogger was one of their resources and had been a resource for a while. Now, it also says that Martell Wiley, whose Trenches News YouTube channel has 114,000 subscribers, is expected to testify this week at the trial of 6 men charged in the brazen attack in the Gold Coast on August 4th, 2020. Now, what's weird is, in a lot of his interviews, you see Trenches News talking about O Block a lot, giving his opinion about hanging out around them, being around the other side, being around everybody, man. I'm wondering, during this whole time, was he behind the scenes reporting on them? It takes me back to that Boondock skit, and I can never get this out of my head, where they said that I think like at every function you go to, every nightclub, every gathering of black folks getting together for hip-hop events, anything like that, like they're 1 out of 24 or 1 out of 12 something. I know that's a wide range or differences. It's somebody's an informant, you know what I mean? And this dude was almost like up front and out there with it. It wasn't like he was hiding it or anything like that, right? So we'll see what else comes out. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to ask him a lot when he takes the stand. So, man, we'll see what comes from it. But it continues to say this. It says, there has been widespread speculation in the rap blogosphere that Wiley had violated the no snitch street code and was identified in court records as cooperator number 1, who prosecutors said provided information about the O Block faction of the Black Disciples that's at the center of the murder and racketeering case. So what's wild is you got people who claim that they're from O Block out here right now. You know what I mean? It's right there. You see a picture of the late King Von, man, great rapper, great entertainer, right? But man, this dude at the same time as doing interviews, profiting off his YouTube, was also getting paid by the FBI. This is crazy, man. And for me, for a blogger, a regular blogger who ain't no street dude, I don't have backstories on nobody. I do, you know what I'm saying, dig into the news stories and stuff like that. This is wild because this is something that I always thought would be a possibility because of the stuff that people talk about in these stories and things like that. But I didn't think anybody would be this bold with it. You know what I'm saying? Dude was super bold with this, man. Now, it also says this. It says during an interview days before the trial began last month, Wiley dispelled what he described as rumors while sidestepping the question about whether he had been paid to cooperate with law enforcement. Now, I think they're talking about the No Jumper interview right there. You know, you guys can check that out for yourselves. I think it's already at like 300,000 views. Like it's got a lot of views. And this dude was doing numbers. He had over 100,000 subscribers. He's doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? So this is some wild stuff, man. Now, they said during the interview he sidestepped the question about had he been paid. He didn't want to lie, so he just left that alone, they're saying. Now, within days, he changed his tune in a bizarre video posted on his YouTube channel, wearing his signature face mask in an empty courtroom that he said was inside the Durskin Federal Courthouse. Wiley admitted he was testifying in what he described as the trial of the century. Now, I'm not sure if this is the trial of the century, but this is definitely the hip-hop or drill rap trial of the century. Definitely, man, because of all the players involved. You got the whole story about King Von allegedly putting money on FBG Duck's head. You've got all these different rappers who are involved who have over millions and millions of views on their YouTube channels. You got King Von, a successful rapper. You have Lil Durk, a successful rapper. You have successful YouTube platforms, and then you have guys like Trenches News, a successful blogger for all intents and purposes. And it's all tied together, man, in this really crazy story. Now, this is a mural of rapper King Von wearing an O Block necklace. is shown at Parkway Supermarket and something King Drive, 6435 South King Drive. The 26-year-old was killed in 2020. So only a couple of months after he died in November, and FBG Duck died, I believe, in August, man. So only a few months after FBG Duck died, King Von had lost his life as well, man. Now, the story continues by saying this. It says, in quotes, "They subpoenaed me to court. I've got to come here, man, and tell them, man, it ain't no more discrepancies. I'm here. Long live Carlton," he said in the video, referring to Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly. So FBG Duck's the real name, Carlton Weekly. And this is some more of what they're saying that Trench's News said in his video that he had posted. Now, FBI Special Agent Kevin Doyle testified Monday that Wiley called the Chicago Police Department a day after the shooting and offered to help with the investigation. Whoa! So they didn't have anything over his head? This is wild. Usually when somebody is testifying or they're an informant, there's something over their head that they're holding. They usually did something. Maybe he already had something that he wanted this would work in his deal. So I can't say for a fact that they didn't have anything over his head, but they're saying that he called right after the shooting and offered to help in the investigation, like that next Monday. Now, Doyle said Wiley was paid $24,963 over roughly 15 installments for his FBI cooperation, which began April 2021. So that's a long time, man. The shooting took place in August 2020. So not even a year later, he was receiving payments. A few months later, maybe like 6-7 months later, he was receiving payments, and he was on the books as an informant, cooperating. So from April 2021 until now, everything that he was getting collecting as a blogger, everything he was getting and collecting as a person out there in the streets, talking amongst these drill rappers and stuff, could probably be used in the court of law, man. That's what it seems. Now, also in quotes, it says he would provide background information. He reviewed surveillance footage and reviewed social media postings, Doyle said, noting that Wiley was dropped as an informant for a time when he grew unresponsive. So it says that for a minute there, he wasn't responding or giving any information. Maybe it was getting a little too deep in, man, or too close to some people, and they were probably wondering some things, man. Now, prior to Doyle's testimony, one of the roughly dozen defense attorneys in the case noted that Wiley had been used twice as an informant more than a decade ago, calling for more information about details about the payments. So they basically, the defense attorneys wanted this information out there that, for over a decade, he's been participating in being an informant and putting it out there for guys to get locked up, you know what I'm saying? And receiving payment to do so, man. Like, I know you guys have seen these reports of where they've been saying that people have been getting all this kind of money, man, for being federal informants. Who do you think those guys are? They're guys who are close to these cats, man. And that's why, man, crime don't pay. I'm telling you, bro. Now, during the time, prosecutors say he lived in Parkway Gardens, a sprawling South Side apartment complex that is also known as O Block, and that police say is the gang faction's power base. So they talking about O Block, famously known for, King Von, other rappers, the big affiliation in drill rap, right? Now, rap lyrics stoked O Block's years-long gang war with the Tucaville faction of the Gangster Disciples, with whom Duck claimed affiliation, according to prosecutors. Now, a lot of that information was pretty much public knowledge because of the music out there, right? Now, the craziest part about this is the fine lines, the details. How could they take a lot of this blog stuff and all that and put it together? Obviously, once you have somebody like Trench's News who's actually living in O Block, that's where you get all your pieces together, because he's going to have to testify on everything he's turned over to him. Now, they have described Wiley as a member of the Black Disciples Newton faction, though Doyle acknowledged he later ran with Duck's crew and the Gangster Disciples. So he went from one gang to the next. So I know that BDs and GDs are kind of under the same umbrella. We've learned that through the music, right? But I didn't think you could go from one to the other like that. I know 600 Breezy, they said he did that, but, he received some scrutiny for that. You know what I'm saying? But it looks like he did the same thing and to different warrant sites, right? And it continues. Let's continue. It says, asked whether he was concerned that Wiley may be a little biased based on his connection to Duck, Doyle simply said yes. So they feel like, even the detective in this situation says that because of his connections to FBG Duck, they feel like he'll be a little biased in his testimony. That could prove positive for the defense attorneys in this situation. Now, as the trial has played out, Wiley has posted multiple updates about the case and some of the people involved. Meanwhile, his testimony has remained a hot button issue. Now, what makes this a hot button issue is you rarely have somebody who's a blogger who really steps out of being a blogger, who steps out of being a cameraman. And I had a discussion with Brick Youngster about this in an interview. Like, as a professional, you just do the job, man. You don't get involved. You don't put yourself in any of it. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like, man, in this situation, he was doing more than just, Trench's News was allegedly doing more than than putting himself in it. He was a part of it and a willing participant in providing information to the government about it. This is crazy. This is crazy. I'm hoping everybody gets the depth of this, man. Now, on October 10th, the first day of jury selection, defense attorneys moved to block Wiley from testifying after he made a YouTube video that contradicted his grand jury testimony, according to the Chicago Tribune. This joker giving grand jury testimony. This is crazy, man. Okay, man. Now, Wiley testified that he recognized most of the defendants from surveillance footage, but then claimed publicly that he couldn't identify the gunman. Now, that could just be him playing both sides. In the face of everybody online, he's like, yo, man, I couldn't tell who it was, man. I don't know who those faces are. But then when he gets inside that police station or in the whatever building they took him to talk to whatever the federal authorities or whatever, he's like, yeah, this is him. This is him. He names, nicknames. And dude was really in the streets with these cats. So he know they nickname. He probably know their gang name, man, all that, man. This is, like I said, this is crazy, man. Now, Wiley couldn't be reached for comment. Well, it looks like Trench's News, it seems like he's involved in this case regardless of just reporting on it for blogs, man. He's gone 3 steps so far into this. He's in too deep at this point. He's Jay Reed, man, because now when he's called to the stand, if they still keep him on as a witness, he's going to have to stick to whatever his grand jury testimony is, and his record is going to come into question, and they're going to bring up those past cases, so you'll really get an idea of how deep dude was in this game, man. This is wild. Like, from a blogging standpoint, man, a lot of bloggers, report on these things, are interested in rap and the things behind the scenes with the rappers. But dude was like 1 foot in the game for real, man. But what do y'all think about this, man? Like, is this just in too deep? Like, was Trench's News really doing too much? If you heard his story on his No Jumper interview, dude was in the streets anyway, survived a shooting, prior arrest, all of that stuff, was out there really living that life. So, man, is it just a possibility that he's not the only one who's out here doing this? And that's probably the bigger point. Now, with that, y'all do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.